Back to Good Day Chicago. He was part of one of the most successful bands in history. But there are still some things you may not know about Ringo Starr. I'm joined now by Andrew Herrmann of DNAinfo Chicago. You guys are always putting together cool stories like this one.
Yeah.
Ringo Starr, what on earth is the Chicago connection here?
Yeah, well, this is a little flashback Friday for us.
Okay.
Ringo's going into the Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this weekend, and but there is an interesting Chicago connection. If you look at all those classic Beatles pictures, you can see Ringo behind the drums, and you see the Beatles logo on the front of the drums. But right above that is the logo for Ludwig Drums, which was in Chicago for many years. Out on Damon Avenue, they had a factory there. And the reason Ringo became a Ludwig user was kind of a happy accident. He had bought these drums in London before the Beatles got big. And so they go on tour in the United States, and of course they're on Ed Sullivan. And back in Chicago, the Ludwig family is watching Ed Sullivan, and one of the kids says, "Hey, Dad, look, there's one of our drums, you know."
No way.
And the dad says, "What is this, some sort of comedy act?" And they said, "No, Dad, it's the Beatles." And sure enough, business doubled in 2 years because everybody wanted to have a drum.
Ludwig drums, just like Ringo.
So in appreciation, they made a gold-plated drum kit for Ringo and gave it to him in Chicago a couple years later. And this drum kit is still owned by Ringo, and it's sort of has a life of its own. It goes on tour by itself now.
Wow.
It shows up in museums and Beatle Fests, and
it all started in Chicago.
That's right. It's still
I
a
love
piece
it.
of Chicago.
Okay, let's talk about a man called the Fish Magnet. Most people use a pole and bait to catch fish, not this guy.
Right.
Tell me about him.
This is a very unusual lakefront phenomenon. They call this power line fishing. This is a 71-year-old Cuban immigrant. He has created this machine out of various found parts, including a baby buggy and a fire extinguisher. And what it does is it shoots the fishing line several hundred yards out into the lake. It's got a bunch of hooks on it, and he uses it to catch coho.
Here's the question: is it effective? Does it work?
It is. 40 to 50 fish a day he can catch.
What?
That's
I
right.
need to go fishing with this guy.
Yeah.
Okay, last story, a bowling team in Englewood. Tell me about these guys.
Herrmann Academy, the PE teacher there several years ago, about 5 years ago, wanted to come up with something for the kids to do outside of basketball and football, and he creates a bowling team. And at first they don't have an alley, so what they do is they create one in the gym, and they use carpeting, and they use various pieces of wood, and they have gotten so good at it, they are now in the state championship for 7th and 8th graders.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Congratulations to them.
Yeah.
Andrew, great stuff today. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, Darlene, over to you.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Let me tell you something about my